Our lesson today is going to be on physical and chemical changes. For our hands-on activity today, the egg and vinegar, you will need a tall glass, vinegar, egg, and water. For our standards, I have picked a 2nd and 5th grade standard. Before we can begin talking about physical and chemical changes, we need to know what matter is. So what is matter? Matter is everywhere. Matter is anything that takes up space, and it is constantly going through physical and chemical changes. First, we need to define a physical change. A physical change alters the form of a substance but does not change it into another substance. Things like this include changing an object's shape or size, or changing its space, such as a solid, liquid, or gas. Other physical property changes include texture, shape, size, color, odor, volume, mass, weight, or density. So let's look at a couple examples of physical changes. These can include painting a wall, ice melting, boiling an egg, or cutting paper. We now need to define chemical changes. A chemical change happens when matter undergoes a change to become new or different. This can include burning, temperature changes without heating or cooling, bubbling, changing color, or changing form. Examples of chemical property changes include color changes, bubbling, fizzing, light production, smoke, or the presence of heat. Let's look at some examples of chemical changes. They can include baking a cake, gas production, temperature change, such as fireworks, sugar dissolving in tea, logs burning, and metal rusting. Let's see if you can tell what the change is. Either remember your answers or you can write them down on a piece of paper. So what change would tearing up paper be? What about mixing salt and water? What about burning paper? And last, mixing vinegar and baking soda. And here are your answers. Your first two are both physical changes, and your last two are both chemical changes. Now for our activity, vinegar and the egg. For this, again, you'll need a tall glass, vinegar, egg, and water. Our procedure, we will first pour 1 cup of vinegar into a cup, add 1 egg, and leave for 24 hours. After you have done this, you will take your egg out, dump the vinegar down the sink, and pour 1 cup more of vinegar in, and replace your egg. You will then leave this for 5 to 7 days, whichever you prefer, and then you will take it out, rinse your egg off, and dump your vinegar. You will then have your egg. So to begin, we have all our ingredients laid out: vinegar, an egg, and my jar. The first thing I'm going to do is pour a cup of vinegar into my measuring cup. The next thing I'm going to do is take my cup of vinegar and carefully pour it into my mason jar. I am then going to take and slowly drop my egg into my mason jar. You may want to have some paper towels handy too, so you can wipe up any mess that you make. As you can see, my egg is almost fully submerged in the vinegar. However, I'm going to need to pour a little bit more. So depending on how big your jar is, you may need to add more vinegar once you start. Once you have your egg fully submerged, I went ahead and put 2 cups of vinegar into my jar so that I would have plenty of vinegar for my egg. You're going to set it up on your counter somewhere safe, and leave it for 24 hours. So as we can see from my jar, there's a whole bunch of foam at the top. And my egg looks kind of orangish yellow a little bit. So now we're going to take our egg out with a spoon, dump the vinegar down the sink, and start all over again. Observe our egg a little bit too. It looks to be bigger than what it was the day before, as well as it is changing color. So let's go ahead, take our cup, and measure out. I said yesterday that I poured 2 cups of vinegar into my jar. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, then I'm going to take my spoon and drop my egg back into the jar. And then I'm going to place my lid back on top and place my egg in the corner for another 4 days. So now that it has been 5 days, we're going to take our egg out. And I'm going to place mine on a plate, and then I'm going to dump my vinegar. After I dump my vinegar, I took and ran some water over my egg. As you can see, you can kind of see the stuff that is going on inside the egg. And the longer you leave it in, the more transparent it can become. And it feels kind of rubbery. We can squeeze it. Please don't squeeze your egg too hard or it will bust. Let's discuss. So what exactly happened to the egg? Does it still have a shell? Are you able to see through the egg? And if so, why did this happen to the egg? This happened to the egg because the vinegar started a chemical reaction that dissolves the calcium carbonate that is on the shell of the egg. This in return caused the bubbles that you saw when you placed the egg into the vinegar.